In this part of the lesson we're going to create a colored stone ring again. So we come into our new command. We'll be using a basic closed solitaire, and we're going to name this colored stone ring 2. We made another one in the previous lesson. Confirm. Okay, and like before, we're going to start off by placing our center gemstone. We're going to place a white diamond, round, and we want a 1 carat stone, so that's 6.5 millimeters diameter. Place it on our center stone datum. Confirm the operation. And now we can get started on the build. First of all, I'm going to create a block centered on our 12 o'clock datum. We're going to drag out the point anywhere. We're going to dimension it within our options panel. Okay, so our length, let's say 5 millimeters. Our width, we will set it as 1.25 millimeters, and our height 14. Confirm the operation. Okay, now we want to move this block up away from the ring finger. Okay, this datum that we placed it on is here. It is halfway between our block. Okay, so we want to move this block up a distance of half of its thickness, and we can do this. Come into our move command. We're going to move it along a direction. Our entity is the shape, our direction, the z-axis, and the distance. We're going to input an expression. The expression, we want it to be half of the thickness of this block. And we can pick that value from our history. Okay, we want to open up this block. We can't do it whilst we're within a command. Cancel out. Let's open our block so that we can see its width or its thickness. Let's re-perform our move command. Select our entity, our direction, the distance, expression. Come into our history. We've opened it up. Now we can pick our expression. The width, it's going to throw in that value. It's just a jumble of numbers there, but that is the value we need, and we're going to divide it by 2. Okay. Confirm the operation, and we have moved the block up a value of half of its thickness. Okay, let's redefine that move. I think there was a rotate in there. Yes, so let's take out that angle, confirm the operation, and there we have moved our block to the correct position away from the ring finger. Okay, so we're now going to work on creating our ring shank. We're going to insert a sketch that will allow us to extrude and thicken a ring shank. Okay, so we essentially want to create a curve coming around here to here that we can then thicken to create our ring shank. Okay, so let's do this. We're going to right click, insert a sketch on our front datum plane. We will start off by referencing, right click, reference our ring template. Okay, and we're going to make sure our construction geometry is disabled. We have not ticked this, so that our reference will come in as live geometry. Okay, not construction geometry. Okay, so next up we want to create an oval. We want an oval, or maybe I should say ellipse, that is going to come from here and meet our stone. Create an ellipse. We're going to use our first defining method, center point method. We're going to let the center point snap to the origin. Left click. Let's drag out our next point. Okay, we're going to place it freely left click, and now we can modify our width and height. Okay, so our width, we want it to be the same width as our ring finger. Now we're just approximating it for now. We will link up this value to the ring finger dimension in just a moment. The height, we want this to meet with our center stone. Okay, and we are going to thicken this, so I'm going to just set it at 25.5. Okay, so here we have our shape that we want. Okay, we are going to be using our trace profile command to trace the profile we want. Let's link up, like I said, this dimension, the width of our ellipse, to the diameter of the ring finger. Okay, so to do this, I'm going to exit back into my part level. I'm going to come into my template in the history, right click on the ring sketch, show dimensions. Now this is the dimension I want, the 17.3. This is the diameter across here of our ring, of the ring finger. So let's enter back into our sketch. We can see this value now, so we can make reference to it. It's a bit of a mess, but we know what we need to do. We come into our ellipse diameter, double click. Let's use our select dimension to select the dimension we want to link it up to. Left click. Okay, but we cannot yet pick the dimension that we want. This is because it is an external dimension. If we see in the lower left hand corner, however, we have a tip. It says use F7 to pick external dimensions. Okay, so our external dimensions are those that are outside of our sketch level. Holding down F7, we are now able to pick that dimension that we want from the part level. Left click, there you go, confirm, and we've linked it up. Okay, but it seems we have another issue here. I'm going to show my target. Our ellipse is not staying centered on our origin. It is moving off course here. Okay, so something is constraining our ellipse to not stay centered. Like so. So let's take a look at the constraints on our ellipse. Okay, we have some perpendicular constraints, some midpoint constraints, and here we have a vertical constraint. This constraint constrains points to stay on the same vertical alignment. Okay, and I feel like this could be throwing us off. Okay, it's constraining this point to stay where it is. Okay, so let's delete this constraint. Left click to select it, delete. And now let's add in our own constraint. I want to constrain vertically this top point, the bottom point, and our origin. Confirm. Okay, so now these points are all going to stay centered. So let's take a look if this has helped. Okay, and now that is updating how I want it to. Now this one is not centered, so let's add a horizontal constraint to the points here. Okay, so let's first of all blank out our reference curve. Points horizontal. We let the cursor snap to the points on our curve. Confirm, snapping to the critical point. Let's unblank and see if this is updating correctly. Okay, and this is how we want it to work now. So let's bring back our part level. Okay, so here we are creating our ring shank. Okay, and we're going to thicken it. We're going to extrude and thicken it. We'll also trace the profile. Okay, so next up I need to create the cutoff point for my ring shank at the stone. To do this, I'll start off by creating a 2-point line, my center line that I can angle between, change it to construction geometry, create another 2-point line, snap to my origin, bring it out, confirm, I'm going to dimension this, right click, dimension. I'll give it a set length, let's say 18 millimeters. Okay, now let's create an angle dimension. Now I'll bring back my part level. We can see where we would like to set this. We will be extruding and thickening at this curve, but it will be cut off at the point of this line. Okay, so we want it to overlap our stone a bit so that we are able to set the stone. So I'm going to say about 11. Degrees. Okay, let's mirror this across. Okay, remember we have our issue of the mirror. We need to add in a point coincident constraint. Okay, so now I'm going to use my trace profile to trace the parts of the sketch that I want my extrude command to recognize. Okay, and these parts, these here. Okay, if you happen to click on a part you do not want and you create a trace profile that you do not want, you can delete trace profiles very easily. Okay, so this is the trace profile that we want. Confirm the operation, exit back into the part level. Let's get rid of those dimensions. Okay, now let's extrude and thicken this sketch to create the ring shank. Okay, you can see it's recognizing only our trace profile. Let's extrude it symmetrically, a distance of 1.5, that seems good. And we're going to offset, thicken, and we want an outer offset. Change my step size. Confirm the operation, and there you go, we have our ring shank. Save our work. Okay, next up we're going to morph our plate here. We're going to perform a cylindrical bend. Pick the shape. Our datum we're going to pick as this top face. Okay, let's perform a bend. We're going to bring our angle, our radius right down. Change my step size. Okay, this shape is a bit too long. I'm going to get my bend in place. Let's say 10 degrees. I mean 10 millimeters radius. We have a nice bend in there. Okay, I'm going to come back to my block. I'm going to right click, open. The height, I'm going to reduce this, edit it. Let's drop it down to 13.5. Okay, I just want to bring that shape back inside the ring shank a bit. Hide the dimensions. Okay, so now let's perform a combine remove. Combine. This is our base. Our shank is our operator. We want to keep the remove shapes. blank this out. Okay, and we've removed material from our morphed shape. Okay, and the end goal during manufacture, this plate and this shank will be created separately and then soldered together, giving a bit more structural support for the setting of our stone here. Okay, I'm going to blank out this ring shank again, also this stone, and now we're going to pave this surface. Okay, but we're going to pave it in an inlaid surface. So first of all, we need to create our inlay. I'm going to come into my wireframe tab. I'll pick my offset command. I want to offset on face this edge on this face, let's say 0.5 millimeters. Okay, so we've offset that edge on the face. Now I'm going to extend one at a time this curve, right click to curve, I'm extending it to this curve. Okay, let's do it for the other side. Use my inputting options, right click to curve. Okay, I extended it across. Okay, let's mirror this curve across to the other side, across the side plane. Okay, like so. Next up, I'm going to split this surface here, this top face. I'm going to split it at these curve points. Okay, so we'll get 3 resultant faces. In our freeform tab, split with curves, pick the face, pick the curves, leave the rest, confirm. Now we have 3 faces. Okay, so this is the same sort of method that we used in the last coloured stone ring. Okay, so next up I'm going to offset this face here a distance of 0 millimeters. Okay, so we are copying that face, but we are assigning it a colour. Confirm the operation. Now a duplicate face in a different colour. Okay, so now we can blank out that main shape. Okay, including the original face, we're left only with our duplicated face here. And now I'm going to shell the surface negative 0.3. Okay, so this is going to be the depth of our inlaid surface, because we will be doing a combine remove. Our face offset is top face about 0.5 millimeter. Don't need to be too exact. This is a combine remove shape. Let's offset these faces a negative value, let's say negative 0.15. Okay, now we will add a chamfer. Okay, this chamfer is going to form the bright cut on our inlaid surface. Okay, setback, our channel depth is 0.3. We can exceed the channel depth if we want to. Let's do that. Let's just put 0.4. Confirm. Let's unblank all. I should have just unblanked that one shape. In fact, we're going to unblank this one shape. Now let's combine remove base operator. Do not keep remove shapes. Confirm. There you go, we have our inlaid surface there with our bright cut. And we can now pave this surface. Okay, we're going to use our fill surface pave command. Okay, so first of all I'm going to create an iso curve on this face to use as a reference. Okay, I want one U number. I don't want any V numbers, I'm just using this curve as a reference when placing my pave. So we come into our pave, we're going to use our fill surface command, pick our surface. Okay, I can see that this stone is going to be too big. I'm going to drop it down in size first of all, say 1.5, pick our surface. Okay, I'm using this isocurve to align my gemstone. Pick the reference. Okay, I want to drop down that stone size a bit so that we can fit them on. Let's change our initial reference. We'll move it up a bit. Give these stones an elevation. Okay, so this is looking good to me now. I recommend playing around in this command yourself to get a feel for the different options. We're going to confirm the operation. Here is our pave. We can then use our gems and settings. We can use our pave prongs. Okay, this is going to throw in a nice pave on our filled surface. Okay, so we can select our stones as a feature. Okay, and it looks nice already. I don't really need to make many changes in my options panel here. Maybe I'll drop my prong height down slightly. Other than that, it looks good. I'm going to confirm the operation. Don't want to tweak. Okay, so we're going to have to add in prongs at the end here. I'll use my tools, component replicate. I'm going to replicate this prong, place it at the end here, confirm. Let's mirror this. Across the front datum, and then mirror it again across the side datum. Okay, so we have sufficient prongs there. Now it's time for our cutters. We'll use the elliptical cutters. Select our stones as features. Check out how our cutters are performing. Okay, they're dropping pretty deep there. Okay, as long as we're cutting away material so there's none encroaching upon our stones. Okay, and this appears to be good now. We're getting just the right amount of material here. Confirm the operation. I'm going to drop it down a bit. Confirm the operation. Exit out of our tweak. Perform a merge cutters. Now let's merge our prongs. We'll check out our cutters performance first. Okay, I think this will be fine. Let's erase that curve, we no longer need it. Take away our JCD datums. Okay, we'll perform merge prongs. pick them all, pick a base, confirm. Okay, and that merge has performed well. Bring back our stones. Okay, so that's our parvade surface. Let's unblank all. That's the ring pretty much finished. We're just going to add in a few fillets to soften up our edges. Save our work. Shape. Let's first of all add a fillet on our shank here. Should have done a quick chain pick to speed up this process. Say 0.25, quarter of a millimeter radius for the fillet. Okay, let's loop fillet these faces. Okay, we'll confirm the operation and we're done. Let's check this out in a live render.